Okay. 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 Some other things that we need to build. Okay. The first is. Nope, that's not right. Okay. Okay. What's that game object? Okay. So the first thing is. The other big question that we need to solve is editing. Like, you know, I think it's really important to have a strong separation between the data and then the editor, right? And like, and not just the data, but also the, you know, the code, the data, the code, the editor. You know, and it's, you know, like it's important to I mean, like for example, in the editor, you know, we have this like display window, and then underneath it, whatever, we have like, you know, the object hierarchy, right? And then next to that, we've got like all the like tweaks and buttons and shit, and like crossbows and dots and shit, little arrows going, you know, whatever, right? So here's our control, right? Here's the actual data, and here's the view. You know, it's like a model view controller kind of style, right? So the way I was thinking about it is that we actually use the game objects as the data. You know? So this hierarchy actually shows you the state of the machine. But it's kind of ridiculous. Like, what happens if you had like thousands or millions or thousands, even thousands of entries? Why would you want to render them in front here so you can see it? Well, I don't know. I mean, I guess you could like want to inspect it. Fuck, there's a bug in here. And he's freaked out. He doesn't know what's going on. I know. It should be dark. I know. Freaks me out too. He must be shitting himself right now. I mean, seriously. This poor dude, like, you know, he's normally asleep and now he's just got himself caught up and like, maybe he actually came here on purpose. Maybe he wants to be here. He's totally losing his mind. That's what scares me, you know, he's like out of control. It's a fucking bug, I can't believe it. Okay, so okay, I guess okay, well, how about this is the question. What do we want to see here? Well, the one thing about having it here, right, is that it has some kind of a display, right? And why would we want that? It's like, well, mainly, and I can't really think of any other. I mean, you want to be able to control it, right? So like you want to be able to, if you want to be able to click and change that thing, yeah, okay, yeah, so I mean, it's a weird thing. It's like, so we have this list, like over here now, we've got this track made up of all these segments. And I'm thinking, okay, maybe you'd want to select one of the segments and then change it, right? So that's what this window is actually for. This window is for changing, you know, it's mainly just for changing, you know, like lots of details about that thing, right? But the only point of this window is that like there's some kind of spatial relationship. You know, that's what makes this window confusing. Like this window could either be talking about something in this view, that's represented by this, or it could just be what's represented by this. So the point is that this view, has my computer just gone dark? This view is always of something from here, but not all of the things from here are in this view, right? But everything that you see here has to have some kind of representation here, right? Then this view is always something that you've selected here, right? And sometimes when you select something here, it shows up here, but sometimes it doesn't, but it always shows up here, right? I mean, it's a bizarre thing to wrap your mind around. I mean, I know it might sound juvenile, but it's kind of trippy. It's like, why? Why is this guy, you know, why aren't these two connected, but these two are? Like, you know, like this thing, some of these things are in here. So sometimes you can click here and then spatially select one of these things, right? And you can click and drag an area and then select a whole bunch of them, right? I mean, as far as I'm aware, as far as I can imagine, like that's kind of the only thing you'd be doing in here, right? Right? I mean, are we gonna put like our own like editor things in here? Like, what about globals? How do you assign globals? You know, like if you had a global, you know, this doesn't really show the concept of a global. Like, you have to kind of, you know, everything has to be attached to something else. There's no global. Maybe we shouldn't have globals. But you know what I mean? Like, what else can you actually do in here? Like, in terms of like selecting and doing shit, like changing the actual, changing shit, you know? What do you want to change? Fuck, I feel like I'm losing my mind, but okay, so this, what is this? The whole point of this, well, the point of this is like, this is supposed to be everything that you could possibly want to change, right? Everything that you could want to change in the editor, right? And in the editor. It's confusing me, man. You know, the one thing I want to bring up that I haven't actually talked about, the one thing I'm really worried about is I'm still worried about this track. Like, how are we going to build a really big track? You know, this window is tiny, you know? Even if you maximize it, how do you build an entire track? How do they do it? Like, I actually don't know. Like, you just keep going, and like say, okay, keep going over here, and I guess you zoom out. But then what are you actually using to draw? You know, points, sure, track points, but I just can't imagine like using a 2D display. Like, how do you build a 3D track putting points down? I mean, I just can't see that happening. Like, I don't know. Anyway, whatever. Okay, well, let's just say it's gonna work. Let's just say the method we've got is gonna work. Oh, fuck. Let's just see if it does. If it doesn't work, we'll find out. Okay. Okay, so why am I describing all this? Let's stop digging into the bottomless pit of abstraction. Okay, what's going on? Okay, so the point of doing things this way is to come up with some kind of strategy for I mean, this really restricts us, you know, this. Well, what restricts us? What restricts us is this, right? If you want to be able to click on something in this screen, right? Like, there's functionality, I don't know if that's the only thing, but the one thing is I want us to have a track, right? And be able to click in here and select the bits of the track and then change them, right? I want to be able to do that. But in order to do that, you know, you have to tie things to the to the game object, like the so you got points, you have track, you want to be able to select them, right? So let's say we had our own structure where we had points, right? An array of points like we have now. Right now we have an array of points, but even though we can get it to draw in over here, we can't get it so you can just select them, right? How do you get things to be selectable? Well, I mean, if you want things to be selectable, they have to have, I think they have to have a mesh collider, I think. Fuck, anyway, I did this. You know, I've already done this. Like, why is the screen so, okay. You know, so the point is that, you know, you have to actually build in the fucking bits over here that you want that are selectable. Selectable. Okay, and there's two kinds of selectability, right? It's not just being able to select them here and it pops up here. You also want to be able to select them here and it pops up here, and you want to be able to click here and it selects it over here, right? You want to be able to click on the track path here, double click on it, and it zooms down and shows you the whole thing, right? Just by double clicking on it. And you want to be able to click and use shift and control to select certain like numbers 1 to 4, and it goes, and then you just change them over here, right? So what am I saying? Okay, so there's two functions that we want. We want to be able to click here and have them selected here, you know, and then click here and have them selected here, and here, you know, will show us both. We click here and it'll highlight what we've selected and shows here, and we want to click and drag, highlight, so it shows here, and we'll connect here, right? So okay, and then to have something here, you have to have a hierarchy. Yeah, but fuck the hierarchy, you know? Fuck the hierarchy. Fuck the hierarchy. We don't need the hierarchy. Like, you know, we've got scripts. Maybe we can just have like something that builds this up, you know? Because right now, like the way I'm coding it, it's like I have all this code like forcing it into this fucking thing just so that we can select it over here. But fuck it, it doesn't really matter. You know, let's just do it ourselves. I mean, we are doing it ourselves anyway. Like, you know, like, can you do polymorphism? I mean, not polymorphism. Can you do multiple inheritance in C#? Because I'm thinking, okay, maybe could we have like a class called selectable, right? And that the moment you have like something is selectable, it just automatically builds up this hierarchy. You know, so we wouldn't have to. I mean, the way I'm doing it now is just so messy. It's so messy. Like, it's such boilerplate. Every time you want to have an instance of an object, even though, like, if you want to have a list of points, you know, you have to like create a game object, then create all these child game objects, one for each one. Each one has a position, has a transform. You know, like it's just like, what? You know, it's like, sure, this thing has a position, kind of. You know, I guess it is a point, but I've also got a slab. It doesn't really, I guess it has a position. Yeah, I guess that makes sense. But a path, what the fuck is the path position? There is no path position, like the parent object. Like, you know, it's just like, okay, and you just kind of got to overlook it. And I just think, and it's not just that, the way you code it up, like, you know, is that I literally create a path object, and the path object, you know, it's like all the abstractions that I did. Like, where's that fucking drawing? No, it's on the fucking, I can't believe I'm recording this tiny little screen, and this is gonna take so much fucking space. I can just show you here. What is this thing? Okay, there we go. So blah blah blah. So this, the way I've drawn this out, let's look at the code instead. The way the code looks You know, is that the path is just an interface, right? But now in order to get this to work like the way that I've, you know, just described, like this actually has to, any path actually has to be a mono behavior, you know, and then, you know, you have to attach that script, and then every time you want to, and then the path object itself also has a method called public, you know, add point, whatever, right? And then inside of add point is like all this ugly fucking game object dot parent dot get components and children, you know, blah blah blah, with all these weird brackety things, dish point, you know. I mean, it's just like crazy, and it's just such a shame, like, that we have to kind of dilute the core essence of like what the code is doing with like all this weird boilerplate shit that ties it into Unity. But we need to do that. We need to have this, like, you know, this, we need to work with this editor because it fucking solves so many fucking issues. It's lovely. You just click and drag, select, you know, the inspector's there, you know, it does everything that we need to. Like, you know, so that's why, what am I thinking? I'm thinking I don't want to pollute this, right? This. So how the fuck do we, you know, okay, let's look. Okay, so an interpolation takes in points, right? And you have a point. What we want to do is we want to tie this point to a game object, right? So we want like an implementation of point that says, well, you know, I'm a point, you know, and it's like, okay, so give me your position, give me your rotation, blah blah blah, right? But when you do that, all it does is it ends up just returning the transform.position, transform.rotation, okay? And then we want it to appear in, you know, the hierarchy. So, okay, you want it to appear in the hierarchy. So what do you have to do? Well, firstly, it needs a parent. It needs a parent. What the fuck is the point's parent? The point doesn't have a parent. Jesus. Doesn't have a parent. Okay. At some point, you've got to create a game object in the scene, and then you have to, you know, have an editor script for it. So when you select it, it brings up like a custom inspector. You need an editor script for it. You need to create it. It has to be parented. Maybe just parenting it as an option. So maybe we'll call it like scene point or game object point or point game object, right? And everything will just be a game object. Like we'll have a path game object, or if you know, yeah. What else? What else is there? Interpolation. There's a Hermite curve. Yeah, Hermite curve. Oh, kill me now. I mean, there's a path, right? Yeah, fuck, there's a path game object. No, there's not a path game object. There is a track points game object, right? So we have a class track points. Track points. Sorry, I'm typing like a retard. Okay. And it is a path. Right. Wow, we could have like multiple inspectors, like an inspector for this type, an inspector. Fuck, I wonder if Unity can do that. And then we could have like certain things that come up when you click on something that happens to be a path, and certain things that come up if it happens to be a Hermite curve, and certain things that come up if it happens to be this. Oh, and then we could just genericize like inspectorship, like totally tied to whatever, you know, class hierarchy that you've created. Oh fuck, I wonder if you can do that. Okay, so yeah, so you got this track points thing, and it has a list of points, right? It has points, something like that. Right, list of points, an array of points. It's a ordered list. Okay, what's going on now? We have some weird class called we have some class called path editor. Fuck, I don't know if this is going to work, but who knows. Okay, and it implements editor, right, and then it, like, you know, creates the on GUI shit, right? Okay, but the point is that we don't just have an editor. What? Okay, the editor is fine, but that's when you click on it. But what actually creates the game object? Like where is that structure being defined? Like, where? How do you define? You know, what I was doing before was I was just creating empty game objects manually, and then just assigning scripts to them, right? And then you know, creating, saying add and delete. You know, it wasn't too bad. The problem was it was just tied. It was just tied into the object itself. So, like, you know, if I could open up what I assets, graveyard, testbed. Testbed is what we named all my shit to. Track chain, right? So here we have a chain. And yeah, see that the chain has like on enable. It's got a mesh, chain meshes. What the fuck? What the fuck does that do? What the hell is going on? Mesh renderer. Actually, that looks pretty clean. Actually, path. Okay, I see here. So path has like create point. Oh, slabs got nothing going on. It's like confusing. Like, is this object just there as a manager? You know, because that's the thing. It's like we have to create this management code that manages, like, you know, it's like if we want a path to maybe there's like a on draw gizmos, create. Okay, then I have these util functions. They do all the creating. So my util functions are kind of like DAOs, you know. Yeah. See, you know, my main point in all this is to try to keep things clean. You know, like I want this. I really want it to say interface path and then class point. You know, and have it be completely devoid of any connection with Unity, you know. So, and we've got this completely separate thing that's saying, okay, look, we've got these structures, right? But we also want to be able to kind of communicate and interact with them using the Unity editor, right? And all the Unity tools, right? Like, how do we do that in a clean way? How do we do that without infecting, like, our, you know, core kind of mechanics? You know, how do we do that? Yeah, I think that's it for me now. Should have another beer. Jeez, drinking too much, man. Fuck. It's weird. I just sit there and I'm like in this weird limbo, and I'm just like, what do I do now? You know, I don't know if you know what I mean. Like, what do I do with myself now? Okay, what next? What am I gonna do next? I don't fucking know. I don't know. I'm just gonna sit there like an idiot. Yeah, just wait for my brain to switch on again. I'll make another recording if suddenly light comes on, but right now nothing's happening. I literally feel just empty, just brain empty. You should really try this whole recording stuff. Like it's cathartic, let me tell you. As long as you're sincere. But you have no problem in being sincere. Okay, sorry, enough jerking you off.